Hey guys, welcome back everybody. Hope you all are doing great. Today in this video we are going to understand switch replacement. How to replace a faulty switch or you can say a older switch in the live network. Guys, this is a user demand video. One of my subscriber has requested me to make one video on step by step process to replace a switch in the live network. So today we will see what is the step-by-step process to replace a switch in the live network. Now you might have thinking, Praful, why we will replace the switch, right? So definitely we will discuss why first, why we need to replace a switch, and then we will see the process to replace a switch, a older switch or a faulty switch. Fine. Because let's suppose a hardware component is not working properly on a switch, so company can repair that hardware as well. Let's suppose power supply port is not working on a switch, right? So company can repair power supply port, right? Why they will prefer to replace the switch? Don't worry, I am going to clear everything. First we will discuss why only. Guys, whenever I am making video on any topic, first I try to cover why part, right? Then only we are moving to what and how. So okay, without wasting our time, let's understand why we need to replace a switch. So guys, reason for replacement can be anything. There are many reasons for replacement a switch in the live network. Like reason can be hardware failure. Let's say power supply or some hardware components like fan are not working properly on the switch. So in that scenario, company refer to replace the switch. Now to avoid the downtime, or you can say there is chance that it can fail again. If company will repair the port, then there is chance that it can fail again. So that's why company will prefer to replace it, right? And if switch is under warranty, then definitely company will go for replacement. Why they will go for repairing? Then second reason can be end of life, right? Or end of support. Let's support manufacturing company is not providing any support more, right? Like you can see here, I have one Catalyst 2960 series switch. So Cisco is not providing support on this switch, right? Even if you are using this series switch, you will not get any update. You will not get any update like security patch update or any kind of update. Now just think, if you have a mobile, right, and there is no customer care, there is no service center for that mobile, you are not getting any update, right? Would you like to use that mobile, guys? No, right? We'll prefer to replace that, right? We'll always use the updated one, correct? So in the same way, let's say a company has a Cisco has had launched a switch 20 year back, and same switch Cisco is launching today as well. So definitely there will be lots of improvement, right, in that switch, correct? So like you want to use the upgraded devices, in the same way companies also want to use upgraded devices, modern devices. Okay, so this can be the reason, like end of life or end of support, you can say. Then third reason can be performance and capabilities issue, right? Let's suppose your switch is not providing sufficient bandwidth, or your switch is not able to handle the present amount of traffic, right? Because earlier your switch was working fine in the company, right? But according to the growth, right, your data has also growth. So this time your switch is not supporting the current data. So in that scenario also you have to replace the switch, right? Security vulnerability. Let's say if there is weak point, as these switches are older switch, so there is chance that there is some weakness. And now Cisco have launched the new switch to overcome that issue. So definitely company will prefer to use the newer device. So reason can be security vulnerability as well. Then physical damage. If there is some physical damage on the switch, as I told you, some hardwares are not working properly, then also company will prefer to use the replace the switch. Network upgrade, right? Like as I told you, if you are not receiving any update, right? Security patch, definitely company will refer to replace the older switch. Now let me discuss some important points here, and then we will see the step by step process. Like topic can be why topic can be why company need to replace a switch, replace a switch. This is the topic. So guys, according to me, first reason can be, as I told you, total hardware failure, right? Total hardware failure, right? All components are not working, right? Even your switch is not working. Imagine you are working in a company and one of your core network switch completely dies, right? It's not functioning. The power supply fail, the switch, even you are not able to turn it on, right? So in that scenario, definitely company will replace that switch. Company will not go for the repairing, right? Then second reason can be, as I told you, outdated outdated equipment, and you are not getting any support. You are not getting any support from the manufacturer company. So in that scenario also, you will replace the device, right? So this can be like old switch if switch is very old. The third reason can be performance issue. As I told you, performance issue means it is not supporting the present data. Performance issue, like there is bandwidth issue. Let's suppose a video streaming company notice that their network is getting really slow because the switch can't handle all the traffic, right? So in that scenario, company will replace the switch. So performance issue. Then security risk, as I told you, if there is vulnerability, to avoid security risk. Like let's say you are a network engineer in a company where security is the priority, and attackers are trying to attack in the network, and there is one very old switch. So attacker can attack in the network with the help of that old switch, correct? Then there can be physical damage, one to two components, few components are not working fine. In that scenario also, we will prefer to replace the device. Physical damage. The reason can be network expansion. You can say a growth. Suppose you need to connect few more servers in the network or few more employees in the network, but ports are not available on the switch, but the current switch don't have enough ports, or your current switch don't have capability to handle the new devices, new clients. So in that scenario, definitely you have to replace the switch. So what we can say, network expansion issue, right? Then seventh reason can be, so seventh reason can be, these are the, by the way, reason guys, this is more than sufficient I think, right? So these are the reason why companies replace switch, why company needs to replace a switch, okay? And this is why you need to learn how to replace the switch, because if you are working in a company, definitely if company is replacing the switch, you will be participate in that operation, right? Even if you are a field engineer, then only also you are going to participate. If you are a knock engineer, then also you are going to participate. So while replacing a switch, lots of team member will be participate in that process, correct? So hope it is clear like why we need to replace the switch. Now guys, try to understand the step by step process to replace a switch. So see, first thing is backup, right? If you are going to replace a switch, I need backup of older switch. So first thing is we need to identify the failure, right? Which type of failure is occurred, right? Like partial failure or complete failure. It might be possible that let's say console port is working but management port is not working on your switch, right? So that type of failure is known as partial failure. Means few components are not working, only rest all components are working fine, right? So partial failure, if the switch is partially functional, right? Like some port works but the management interface is down, you might still be able to access it through console port, through console access or other working port like through the auxiliary port. So in that scenario, what you can do, you can back up your configuration from the console port or from the any other working port. But if it is complete failure, even you are not able to access the switch, in that scenario how you are going to backup the configuration? So if the switch is completely unresponsive, no console access, no network connectivity, you will not be able to retrieve the configuration directly, right? In that scenario, how you are going to take backup of configuration? So recovering configuration from a partially functional switch is easy. We can access through the console port, right? Connect to the switch using console cable. If the switch is still booting or partially operational, you might be able to access CLI. So through CLI you can take backup. But if switch is not responding, right, if it is completely failure, so recovering configuration when the switch is completely down, first step, network management tool, right? Guys, we are using network management tools in the real time to monitor the network, and those tools also store the configuration of devices, right? So you can take backup from those tools. So check if the configuration was previously backup using network management tool like Cisco Prime Infrastructure, SolarWind, or any other NMS tool. These tools often store historical configuration, right? So we can restore the configuration from there. Then configuration archives. If your organization have, let's say, TFTP server, right, or FTP server, and you are regularly taking backup of your devices, so definitely it is easy to take configuration from there. If your switch is not responding and if you have TFTP server, you can take backup from TFTP server. So if organization has a configuration management policy, there might be regular backup stored on TFTP or FTP server. You can retrieve the last non-good configuration from these archives. After that, if there is no TFTP, FTP, SCP, then you have to manually reconfigure it, right? Maybe you can take backup of the configuration from the similar switch and then you can modify that configuration. If second step, refer to your network diagram, IP addressing scheme, and the VLAN steps, VLAN setups, right? Other switches or routers who have the similar configuration. So if you have similar switches in the network, you can use their configuration as a reference to rebuild the lost configuration, right? So these are the process for backup, right? Now let's suppose you have backup. There can be two chances, right? Either you can have backup or you can not have backup. If you don't have backup, then you have to reconstruct it, right? You have to reconfigure it. You have to reconstruct it with the help of reference if you have similar devices in the network. Now let's understand the process to replace. Okay, so before starting the replacement process, you will work on backup. Now the step-by-step process to replace a switch. So guys, see, replacing a Cisco switch in live production network required careful planning and execution to minimize downtime. Downtime is very important, right? This is not like any time you can replace a switch, right? First of all, you have to decide the time when users are less, right? So for replacing a switch in the live production network required a careful planning and execution to minimize downtime and ensure that the new switch integrates seamlessly with the existing infrastructure, right? Now what you need to plan: replacement preparation, right? Guys, under pre replacement preparation, we are going to identify the problem, right? What problem are there? According to the issue, will perform documentation, right? Like I have the switch of Cisco, so I will do the RMA, right? I will create a documentation, then I will send it to Cisco, right? That is called RMA. RMA. So RMA means determine if the existing switch has failed or is faulty. If it's under warranty or support, initiate an RMA with Cisco or the other vendor, right? So you will initiate an RMA with manufacturer company if your device is under warranty. This involves providing serial number, right? Description of the issues, right? So as I told you, first of all, you are going to identify the problem, right? What issues are there? And then replacement approval. Once approved, Cisco have received your mail and they have approved it. So Cisco or the vendor will ship a replacement device. They will ship a new device for your location, correct? Now review existing configuration. As I told you, take the backup of configuration before removing faulty switch. Backup the current configuration using show running configuration, or you can use copy running configuration to TFTP, or anywhere you can take the backup, right? Or you can run show running configuration and then you can copy the configuration, or copy running configuration command, right? Then network documentation, ensure you have the network diagram, right, including IP addressing scheme, the VLAN details, right, trunk port configuration, access port configuration, and any special configuration like quality of service, security setting, or the span tree configuration, right? So maybe my switch is connected with one router and with lots of access layer switches, right? Few ports are trunk port, some ports are access port, right? There are quality of service configuration, span tree protocol configuration. So you have to prepare a proper network diagram. Then prepare the replacement switch. Now we are going to prepare the replacement switch. Prepare the replacement switch means, see, when you will receive the new switch from the vendor, from the manufacturer company, you will unbox it and you are going to identify the damage, if there is any damage, correct? So unbox and inspect. Inspect means inspect it for any physical damage, if there is any physical issue, right? So when the replacement switch arrives, unbox it and inspect it for any physical damage. If there is no any physical damage, then next step is iOS upgrade. Update iOS. If the replacement switch is not running the same iOS as existing one, upgrade the iOS to match. Correct? Then basic configuration. Basic configuration means configure the basic settings such as host name, management IP address, and gateway if it is not already done. Because maybe you are going to access the switch remotely, right, from the NOC. So these are the basic configuration. We will perform the basic configuration if there is no any physical damage. After that, load configuration. Transfer the backup configuration to new switch, right? So as you have backup of older switch, now you need to restore that. If you don't know how to restore the configuration from TFTP to a switch, you can watch video on my YouTube channel. Video is already available on this topic on the channel. This can be done via TFTP, SCP, or manually pasting it into the switch. After that, guys, scheduling the replacement. Now we need to decide the time when we are going to replace the switch, right? So maintenance window, schedule downtime, coordinate with team to schedule a maintenance window. Typically during off-peak hour, inform all relevant parties about the potential impact, right? So you have to inform your all relevant parties that you are going to perform some operation, right? For the particular time, network will be unreachable, right? Unavailable. Correct? So everyone in your network should have knowledge about the impact on the network. Then notify the team. Role and responsibility. Now we are going to assign engineers. Ensure that all team member knows their role, right? Like who is going to insert the device in the rack, who are going to connect the cable, who are going to configure it. Correct? So have a network engineer on standby for troubleshooting. So one network engineer should be on standby for troubleshooting if any issue will occur. A system administrator to monitor the servers, and a user support person to handle any immediate issue. Okay, so if there will be any immediate issue, who can be responsible to monitor that, right? So we are going to assign the task to each person in my team. Then physical replacement process. First step, physical replacement process. Prepare the environment, like labeling. Label all cable connected to existing switch so that they can be reconnect to the same ports on the new switch. So that's why labeling is again very important. Otherwise there will be lots of cable in the rack, right? So it will be very confusing where you are going to connect which cable. Okay, then power down. If required, gracefully shut down the switch using reload command, right? If you have remote access, if you have physical access, if you are physically there, then physically power it down. Then disconnect cables. Carefully disconnects all the network cables, power cables, and any other connections. Then replace the switch. Now uninstall the older switch and install new switch in the rack. Rack mount the new switch in the same place as the older one. Correct? Ensure it is securely mounted. Then reconnect cables. Reconnect all cables to the appropriate ports. Double check the connections to ensure they match the previous configuration. After that, post replacement task. Post replacement task can be power on the device, power on the switch, boot up the device, power on the new switch, and monitor the console output for any issues during the booting process. Then verify the configuration. After switch boot, verify the loaded configuration. Check that all VLANs, port configurations, and routing protocols are correctly set up. Then test network connectivity. Use tools like ping test, perform ping test to various devices connected through the switch to ensure connectivity. Verify port status. Use commands show interface status, show IP interface brief, show a spanning tree to check the status of ports and verify there are no error. Then check logs. Check logs. Look at the switch logs by running command show logging to ensure there are no unexpected issues or errors. Then validate network devices. Layer 2, layer 3 testing. Ensure that devices like routers, servers, and other switches are communicating correctly through the new switch. Spanning tree protocol. Verify that spanning tree protocol is functioning as expected to avoid loop. Then monitor network performance. SNMP monitor. Now set up the monitoring tool like SNMP monitoring. Use your network monitoring tool to observe the switch performance over the next few hours to ensure stability. Correct? Like the CPU utilization of your switch. Correct? So for a few hours, like 4 to 5 hours, you are going to monitor the device. After that, performance metrics. Monitor key metrics such as bandwidth usage, CPU utilization or CPU load, and the memory usage of the device. Right? Let's say if CPU utilization is getting high, then there is chance that user will get slowness, or there is chance that few hardware will get failed again. Right? You have to check the hitting of new switch. Right? The switch is not getting hit. Post replacement review. Update documentation, inventory update, network diagram, and then this is real-time example, so this is not important for you. Okay, so guys, these are the process to replace a new switch in the live network. One of my subscriber had requested me to make this video, and now hope this is clear to you how to replace a new switch in the existing network, in the live network. Guys, if this video was helpful for you, if you have learned something from this video, please hit on like button. We will meet soon in next video. Till then, stay safe. Bye bye. That's all for today.